What is going on? Oh, it's a late one. It's more than worth it. The Bills have won. I got my compadres with me tonight. Got my man Clayton Garrett in the house. Clayton, what's going on?
Oh, not much. It was an excellent night. It was a great football game for the Buffalo Bills, and they're advancing the AFC Championship, and can't wait to chop it up.
We got one of our newest members, the Cold Front family here, my man EJ Daniels. EJ Ernest, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. It's a great night to be a Bills Mafia member, and excited to talk about the win.
Now, you guys know there's a tradition on the cold front. Every time that the Bills win, obviously Fred is not with us. I think Fred passed out from all the excitement tonight, and we couldn't find him. But that's okay. We still got you. We're gonna lock it down. So make sure you like and share the show for me. But as you guys know the tradition, we usually turn into Buckethead Fred. So I'll do the honors tonight and wear the McDermott style training camp bucket hat. And yeah, we got the dub, baby. We got the dub. I can't wear this thing on the show, but that's all right. This thing give me all type of problems. Jeez.
Look, you're ready for a
Technical
safari.
difficulties like Lamar
Right.
Jackson tonight. Technical difficulties. So, guys, big game today. The Bills end up getting the dub. 17-3. Dominant performance in this defense. Obviously, the best defensive performance we've had all season. The offense is sputtered, I think, a lot because of the weather. Had to do a lot of the weather. We'll get into that. But what can we say about this defense? Clayton, what's going on?
I really like the return to the aggressive approach that this defense took on the latter half of the season. This defense was known to be a bend don't break defense for so long. And then the latter half of the season, they took this aggressive approach, the aggressive identity, the various blitz packages, the exotic looks with their defensive backs. And tonight was no different. They took a step away from that last week, the little more conservative defense. But tonight, they refound their aggression. They went attacking this Lamar Jackson-led rushing offense for the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, there was no room to run tonight, really, for that Baltimore offense. They did come up and down the field a couple times, but when the defense needed to stiffen up, they did, and that's really what this defense is good at doing. And they made the one opportune play, and Teron Johnson took it back all the way. That defense, they've made that one play in a game that changes the course of a game all season, and that's why a lot of people should give this Bills defense a lot more faith than they do.
EJ, what are your thoughts, man, on this Bills defense tonight?
Yeah, man. I think again, like you said, this is their best performance all around, holistically as a whole defense. Every unit, defensive line, the DBs and the linebackers. I love everything that I saw from them. Jerry Hughes, like you said, was a man possessed today. He had 2 sacks. I think he also had a pressure too. And then I like we all saw Taron Johnson. We all saw the impact that he had on the game. The Bills defense has been trending up, for like the last 4 or 5 games, and it kind of culminated and it kind of blew up today with their best performance of the game. And they needed it, to stop Lamar. Lamar really didn't do much on the ground. I think he had one big 20+ yard run, but other than that, Lamar was bottled up. And then when the Ravens were forced to pass, the Bills, that's what they specialize in, being a great coverage team and being solid on the back end. And once they were forced to pass, they really couldn't do anything with the Bills defense.
As we've said on this show multiple times, and we've been saying it since, I don't know how long we've been saying this, probably about 2 years now. When it comes to mobile quarterbacks, and I will state this again, when it comes to mobile quarterbacks, Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier are comfortable against mobile quarterbacks, more comfortable against mobile quarterbacks than they are veteran pocket passers like Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, those guys. Now, I'm wrong, their defense can beat both, but they're more comfortable against running quarterbacks. And yes, as people are talking about Nick Wright, yes, he has to get sprayed with ketchup this week. You're damn right. Get the ketchup, get the mustard, get some Rudy's, get some Novas. We gonna throw all the Buffalo on Nick Wright this week because he's eating crow.
Yep.
We ate Ravens tonight, and he's going to eat crow come Monday. So get the ketchup ready. And I think if he's in the Bristol studio, I'm like 5 minutes away, out quarantine, let me come in and do it. I'll be the one to spray him. You're damn right. Nick Wright, you eat that. Yeah, you're right, James. I can't put that on the screen because we may have kids and women watching, but you're right. Eat that. I love it. I love it. It is it's such a great feeling though, guys. It really is. I know this was the matchup that made me nervous going to playoff. This particular matchup right here. Any other matchup without the Chiefs, this was the one that made me really nervous. And today, the Bills came out and they beat the holy hell out of the Ravens. I went live with Lorenzo Alexander before the game and on the lowdown pregame tailgate, and he said his 3 keys to the game this week were be physical, and be physical. And that's exactly what these boys did. They were physical today, and they showed another AFC North team. Oh, we hit 2, baby. We hit 2. But how much did the speed play a factor into this game? Because obviously we know we're still missing that 0 tech, 1 tech D tackle in the middle. But it seemed like the speed of this defense really bothered the Baltimore Ravens. What did you think, EJ?
In terms of the speed, I would say that's like spot on because again, with this defense, I like their discipline today. And going on to your point about the speed, I mean, they didn't let Lamar get any big plays. As you saw, as Clayton mentioned first, the Bills were way more aggressive than they have been for the last couple games, and they were sending blitzes all night. And those blitzes frustrated Lamar. And again, the speed of the Bills defense frustrated Lamar. And like you said, to open it with, Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier have been comfortable against, running and mobile quarterbacks, and the speed of the defense is the reason why.
I'm really going to talk about 2 rooms that go to the point of the speed of this Bills defense. And those are the defensive ends and the 2 safeties that the Bills have playing for them. Jerry Hughes, Trent Murphy, Mario Addison, those 3 guys tonight, they did an incredible job. AJ Epinesa missed one of his lanes one time, and it didn't lead to a big play, but it led to a 3rd down conversion, I believe. But the 3 veterans, they did an incredible job playing contained tonight. And those 2 safeties, the reason I bring them up is because they are the reason why the Bills are as strong on the perimeter as they are. Those 2 safeties, they're not afraid to run up to the line of scrimmage and attack. They're not afraid to contribute in the run game. They're both very instinctive. They know what they're looking for. They know their reads. They know their keys on that side of the ball. They're very inclined on this defensive system and their responsibilities in it. So, I think them being able to fly freely in this defense, them being able to attack at the line of scrimmage the way that they do, especially on a very run-oriented offense like they have today, we saw how one-dimensional the Ravens were. And I think a big part in why the Bills are played as fast as they did, played as aggressive as they did, was the contribution of those 2 safeties, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde.
It almost seems like it begins and ends with those 2 safeties because of the versatility you have with them, where you can match up a man, you can blitz them, you can put either one in the box if you like, you can both play him back in the zone if you like, and they're a threat at no matter what position or what type of game plan you use for them. 2 guys who were Jordan Poyer was pretty much a cast off from Cleveland, and Micah Hyde was obviously, he was a solid free agent signing. He was a solid free agent guy. I don't think anybody expected the emergence of Micah Hyde like this, but those 2 guys in general can wreck a game plan. And they've been doing that for the last couple of years. It's undeniable at this point. And it's still sad to say that Jordan Poyer has yet to make an All-Pro team or a Pro Bowl. It's actually disgusting to even say that. But no, these guys play a hell of a game. I mean, we were talking last week about this A.J. Klein snaps. And the fact that A.J. Klein only played, I think it was 4 snaps last week in the game, 7% of the defensive plays. McDermott and Leslie Frazier showed me something tonight. Isaiah McKenzie was back in this lineup and being used. And Brian Dable as well. Trent Murphy was activated. A.J. Klein was used more. They made all the right calls. They made all the right moves. Can we ask anything more from the Clayton Garrett when they're doing that?
No, I think this coaching staff from top to bottom, they did what they needed to do in this game in order to win. And I think that's fairly obvious when you look at a team that was on a roll. Let's not forget the reason why Jeremy mentions being nervous about being matched up with the Ravens. The reason why a lot of people were nervous about matching up with the Ravens today is because they're the only team that's as hot as the Bills in the conference right now. Those were the 2 hottest teams in the AFC playoffs remaining that faced off today in the divisional round. I thought that was going to be the matchup that we were going to get in the AFC Championship, and I thought that's what the culmination was going to be. But, that's a very good football team. That's a very good offense. They were on a roll as well. They were winning 6 straight games. They had to do that to get where they were, not because they were trying to play for the 1st or 2nd seed or what have you. They had to earn their way all the way from December on. And that was a team that, you can throw in the quality of those opponents that they beat along the way, if you will, but they earned their way. And that was a tough football team that the Bills had to overcome today, and they came prepared, and I think that was fairly obvious on both sides of the ball.
What do you think, E?
I'm so glad that you brought up coaching, because I always say, like, in pro sports, coaching matters tremendously. And I don't know if anyone was noticing, but if you notice in the beginning of the game, Bills usually play nickel defense, meaning that they don't play with a third linebacker, they play with another cornerback, Teron Johnson. Today in this game, they started out in base defense with three linebackers, like he mentioned, with AJ Klein, in the game. And that's a coaching adjustment, and that helped, the Bills stifle their run defense. And the only way that the Ravens was going to get them out of that base defense was by passing. But as you saw, in those nickel packages, the Bills were blitzing, and they couldn't handle those blitzes. And then Lamar, he couldn't get it done, through the air. Those are all coaching decisions. It was a nice coaching game. And then you saw in the second half, Dable started running the ball more after, only running one official run play in the first half. Like, these are all coaching adjustments. Bills have one of the best coaching staff, and that's why, Leslie Frazier's up for a head coaching position and Brian Dable's up for a head coaching position. I mean, Bills have one of the most solid coaching rooms in the NFL.
It's a very possible thing that we do in this week without, or never mind. It's a very possible thing in the near future that we may not have an OC and a DC, because obviously we know that they can't officially take jobs until the conclusion of the Bill season, and hopefully that's in a couple weeks here. Obviously, we know we're losing Brian Dable to the Chargers, and congratulations to Brian Dable. He deserves that gig. He deserves that job. He's come. He worked hard, and he's proved the doubters wrong, including myself. I was a huge Brian Dable doubter, a Brian Dable hater. I raised my hand right around home with you, Clayton. I hated me some Brian Dable. So in the day, congratulations to him. He's done a hell of a job, and it was nice to see him get back in rhythm this game into his play calling. I do feel like the weather affected a lot of the passing game today, which is why I put on my Facebook, if Buffalo had a dome, it would be nice. I think that, to be completely honest with you, the way the Ravens came out playing this game on defense, they were nervous. They were the team that came out nervous today. It wasn't Buffalo, it was the Ravens. And I think if we had better weather conditions, we would put up 40 on these bums. And I'm sorry to call them bums, but that's what I'm calling them right now, because they were talking. A lot of Ravens fans were talking trash.
All week.
All week. Put a 3 spot up. Never more. Edgar Agin Poe out of here. Done. No, but at the end of the day, I just felt like the offense, we missed some shots. We had shots and we just missed them. And like I said, I think it was due to the weather. And the Bills could have easily been up by 14, 17 points going into halftime. Do you agree?
Yeah. You saw the plays were there to be made for this offense. And, that's not Josh Allen's long ball that we've grown accustomed to over the 2020 season. I don't think he's long balling these guys by 15 yards like he was with consistency in 2019. That's just not who he has been this season. And some of those passes were just long. Like, it's pretty obvious that the wind was a huge factor in this game tonight. A lot of people were talking up to this game about whether the snow was going to be an impact or not, because Lamar Jackson had never played in snow before. I can't stand it when the wind went. Really, it's mostly the wind than anything else. But when you throw the rain in there, any kind of inclination of the weather in Buffalo, it's always a mess with the wind there. And that's really what changes games more than anything, is the ability for teams like the Bills, who have gone to a modern offense. They can't spread it out and throw the ball the way they want. Whereas for the Ravens, if they were able to get it done tonight, if they were able to keep this game closer and stop the Bills offense on that one drive that they went down the field, maybe we're talking about a different game. It kind of shows how one-dimensional the Bills are, but these aren't the circumstances they're going to be facing every week.
Nothing is. I want to give a shout out to the referees in this game too. Wasn't a lot of flags. Wasn't a lot of laundry on the field today. They let the boys come out there and play and earn this game. They let them play physical. They let them play tough, and they let them play hard. And I thought it was a pretty clean game from both teams as well. And that just goes to show that how strong that the Andy Reid coaching tree is. especially compared to a Bill Belichick who is just absolutely an abomination. Absolutely an abomination. The Andy Reid tree may be the successor tree, if I call it, to the Bill Walsh tree.
Mm-hmm.
This may be the greatest coaching tree since Bill Walsh. And kind of it's funny that Andy Reid comes from the Bill Walsh tree, right?
Yeah.
So, EJ, tell me, what do you think about the Andre Roberts second half return? Because, all year I've been arguing with people. I know Clayton argues with people. I don't know why people do this, but people, for some reason, people don't like Andre Roberts. They want him cut. And once again, I thought he set the tone in the second half at a time where we needed it with another big return to give us good field position.
I mean, I can't count how many times Andre Roberts has had a big kick return that, flips the field or gives, one of the most prolific offenses in the league right now, great field position. I mean, Andre Roberts has been an all-pro 2 years in a row for kick returns. So for kick returns and punt returns, he's been an all-pro once for punt returns, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So I don't understand where all this hate comes from. But, I mean, when you have an all-pro kick returner, I mean, I don't understand, why he gets so much hate, but he definitely changes games and he definitely, flips field position. I mean, it's not sexy, but it helps Josh Allen score touchdowns, when you're starting most of your drives from the 40 or the 35 or even in the opponent's, side of the field. So having great field position and having a good kick returner definitely helps.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much Andre Roberts is a shoo-in to get an extension. He's a 2-time All-Pro since he's come to Buffalo. Let's not be so quick to forget what the Bills return unit consisted of before Andre Roberts came here. Like Micah Hyde was getting sent out there just to fair catch the balls every time. It was because Isaiah McKenzie couldn't field the punts properly. And that's what the Bills return unit amounted to. And now it's complete opposite end of the spectrum. You have a returner who has changed games almost every game this season. He has given this team a spark on the offensive side of the ball at very opportune times. He's been a guy who has had numerous opportunities. Yeah, he's had a few bad plays. Now, it's not even a few bad plays. It's like 2 or 3 bad plays against the Titans earlier this season that people really used against him for a long time. But at this stage of the year, I don't know how you don't see what the worth of Andre Roberts, because he consistently makes plays in a very important facet of the game.
As I always allude to, I can take you back to the days of Chris Watson. I know a lot of guys ain't gonna remember the days of Chris Watson. I know you two are probably a little young for Chris Watson. Maybe not hearing it so much, but Chris Watson was the worst return man in the history of the Buffalo Bills, and we also got him from the Denver Broncos, much like Isaiah McKenzie. But it seems like we got a lot better return this time around. But no, Andre Roberts. I thought the second half kickoff really set us up. I was kind of disappointed in the lack of balance in the play calling again, and just because of the weather. Coming into this game, I think I was talking when we had Donald Jones live on Tuesday with the full wide receiver set. We were talking about it and the matchups as far as the Ravens defense versus the Bills offense. At the full wide receiver set, even though this Ravens defense is great, they dropped to number 22 in the league. Actually, 26 in the league against full wide receiver sets. 22 in yardage, I believe, and I think 28th in touchdowns. So I got the game plan totally, but, I've been saying forever, I know we talk a lot about Motor Singletary, and a lot of people harp on him. For whatever reason, I don't get it. The guy is just not utilized. But when we need him, it seems like he's there and he's making a play, and he's been doing it since his rookie year. Now, this year, we haven't leaned on him heavily. He's obviously been in a rotation with Zach Moss here and there. He's not in goal. He's not using short yardage or even goal line situations. But tonight, I thought, once again, another solid game from Motor. Ernest?
Yeah, I mean, when he got opportunities to run, absolutely. I mean, I mentioned on another podcast that the Bills were at one point in time, they were the number 5 graded, zone run team. And then Devin Singletary, that was one of the things that he was known for FAU, being a great zone runner. And I agree with you 100%. I mean, the lack of play calling and the lack of the balance in play calling is something I have been harping on since like the beginning of the season. I really feel like Dable needs to run the ball more, and they need to be a bit more balanced team, especially when they start playing teams like Kansas City. You know what I mean? They should definitely incorporate more of the run-ins. Like you said, I mean, the game plan dictated them passing every play, but if they were able, I mean, a running game should be used like, when you need it to be able to crack off like 3 or 4 yards, and we didn't do that in the first half. But that's indicative of good coaching, like we mentioned before. Dable knew that he needed to mix in some runs, and then that first drive in the third quarter, they mix in 3 or 4 runs, and then they run 3 straight times, coming out of halftime. So, when Motor Singletary and when Brian Dable decides to give his backs the ball, the Bills can run the ball. And I've been saying this all year. The Bills can run the ball. They just don't run the ball because they're so prolific, passing the ball. So that's pretty much how I feel about it.
And see, Jeremy, you've been talking about this going all the way back to last year. Was, once this passing attack finds their dog wide receiver, aka Stephon Diggs, once Josh Allen starts to get all those things start to click and work together, if you will, this was the fear, is that he's just going to spread it out and let it fly the whole game. And that was the problem last week, is that he wasn't doing that against what we thought to be a Colts defense, that would be the advantageous decision. But this week, it felt like he wouldn't run the ball at all. And I understand that's where the matchups lie, but you need to have some sort of balance in these games, I feel like, especially in the playoffs, just to balance over time of possession so your defense doesn't get wore out. And I've always felt like the lack of balance is going to bite the Bills in the rear at some point. But, Josh Allen, he has the keys to this offense, and he's taking and he's running the offense. But at the same time, you can't avoid the fact that the Bills would have more than one offensive touchdown coming out of this game if they had a more balanced rushing approach with their offense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have been talking about it for last year, because at the end of the day, I do believe that. And I did believe it then. I said one thing Brian Dable scared me with is the lack of making adjustments. And I did feel like, hell, if he was out there throwing the ball 33 times a game with just Beasley and Brown, I say, yeah, when we got a number one receiver, this dude's going to be slinging this damn thing all around the yard. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's like, I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass. And guess what? When you blink, I'm going to pass some more. That's pretty much what our offense is at this point in time. Yep. And guess what? I'm going to come out there. I'm going to put him in the backfield. And then I'm going to spread him out the receiver. I'm going to pass it to him out there. Okay? He will not get this carry. I'm serious. That's what happens. But no, I love Motor. I think he makes plays. I think he fights for extra yardage. I think he does a lot of things well. His pass blocking has gotten a lot better as well. Is there any doubt that Motor can be a starting back in this league? Because a lot of people act like he can't, and I don't see why.
I wouldn't go as far as to say a starting back. I am a Zach Moss a lover. I love Zach Moss coming out of Utah, and I knew when the Bills got him, I knew eventually it was going to be a matter of time before he started. He leads the Bills in PFF run grade, pass blocking grade, and catching among all the running backs on the team. He's been by far their best running back, in my opinion. I like Motor in the change of pace role because he can make people miss. He's not fast. Neither is Zach Moss. But Zach Moss, I feel like, can catch a little bit better than Devin Singletary too. So, like I said, it's only a matter of time before Zach Moss gets the keys to the backfield. But, Motor plays a great role. He played a great role this year, just coming in, certain times, giving them a big run. That run he had against Denver. It wasn't a significant run, but that's what he can do in a change of pace role, get you a 50-yard touchdown when you're not even expecting it. So I like the role that Dable gave Devin Singletary this year.
See, the thing is that I struggle with Devin Singletary is he almost just doesn't fit the offense at all, because he's a rhythm runner. The more carries you give Devin Singletary, the better he's going to get, the better feel for the holes and the better feel for the game and where these guys are going to come with their angles and where he should cut and what have you. That's the kind of running back Devin Singletary is. That's the kind of, he'd thrive in an offense that was predicated on the run. And more so, we all saw it last year in 2019 when the Bills offense had to run the ball more, how he'd get a feel for games and just end up start getting chunks and chunks of yardage. But at the same time, I can't deny that if the Bills got a star running back, if they got a dynamic football player, a really good running back, like a Travis Etienne-esque type running back, I can't deny that this offense would be a lot more complete, would be a little more dynamic, and it would change the complexity of the offense, and it would give you a little another extra weapon or a tool in your tool chest, if you will.
Hey, I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw this in here real quick. So, PFF released their top 10 running back free agent rankings. So I want your opinion on this. They said that the Bills should sign Chris Carson. To your point, Clayton. So what do you think about that?
I like it, but at the same
He'd
time,
be an upgrade, is what I'm saying. He'd be an upgrade both.
I don't like allocating money there. Is where I'm at because
I agree. I agree.
I like what they do with the running back room now. It's very modern. You draft every single year. I want to see them do that with the wide receiver room. You draft every single year. Do I anticipate that they're going to draft another running back this year? No, but I do. I would like a more dynamic football player. I don't think Chris Carson is that, but I do think that if the Bills, they can fill some needs here and there. I think running back could be an under the radar addition possibly this offseason to look out for. I mean, I'm not going to bank on it. They love Motor. They love Moss. This front office is very dedicated to their draft picks, and these guys, they take care of their guys. So I think these two guys, they fit the roles that they're given in Buffalo, while all at the same time, I can't deny that if you got a more dynamic player, that this room would be upgraded substantially.
I mean, if you're going to add a back in here, I think you're going to add one with world-class speed. I mean, that's the route that I'm going, right? I mean, if I'm going to add one, I'm going to add one world-class speed. That's when he's going to hit the hole, he's gone.
Because you have everything else already.
Right, you have everything else. The only thing we have not seen in the Bills' backfield has been world-class speed. We haven't seen world-class speed since, C.J. Spiller, probably? Yeah, LaShawn McCoy. Yeah, I mean, you can say McCoy, too. But, I mean, like I said, Travis Etienne, that would fit. But we're going to start asking some questions, guys, because we probably got about, it's late, it's already 1 o'clock, so we probably got about another 5 to 7 minutes left in this show. So I'm going to start going through here, and the question is, Mud Dog says, hey, Purdue has a guy very dynamic coming out very fast in Rondell.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, that's a good fit there. Let's see. It was a couple questions I saw up top here from some guys, for everybody. James Bilek asks, who do you guys want to face, KC or the Browns? EJ, I'll start with you.
Who do I want to face?
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna say the Browns. I mean, just because. But the thing is, here's my thing. The Browns been playing just as good as the Bills, and I know that's asinine to say out loud. But you'll be looking at their last couple games. Baker Mayfield has been the second highest graded quarterback since week 9, behind Aaron Rodgers. That's the only quarterback that's been playing better than him. So, I mean, obviously I would like to play the Browns because they don't have as many, weapons as the Chiefs do. But, I mean, I feel like both matchups are going to be tough for the Bills because, as we go back to our last time, we're just talking about coaching. I mean, Stefanski is a heck of a coach. You see what he's doing? Stefanski wasn't even at the game, and they destroyed the Steelers by almost 30 points. You know what I mean? So both matchups, to answer your question specifically, both matchups are going to be tough. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick the Browns.
And I want to knock the Chiefs off the mountain. If you're telling me to pick, completely matchups are irrelevant. Everything, all the fluff outside of it is irrelevant. I want to be the one to knock the Chiefs off the mountain. Do I think the Browns have a good shot to do it tomorrow? And I possibly may have talked myself into thinking the Chiefs could lose. Yeah, I do. But at the same time, I want the Bills to be the ones to go into Arrowhead and beat the reigning Super Bowl champions because then the questions are answered. There's no more questioning Josh Allen. There's no more questioning the whole Patrick Mahomes thing. It's done. It's put to bed and over with. And the Bills would be on their way to a Super Bowl, beating the reigning champions. There would be any more. It wouldn't go any more perfect, I don't think.
I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, and I'm not gonna go with the king of the mountain thing because, in my opinion, in football, it's a year-to-year thing. You're the king or you're not. If you lose, you're out. I don't say that the Bills. I mean, I said the Bills were the king of the AFC East before we played one game this season. Once Brady left, and I didn't need us to knock off the Patriots to prove that. So I'm gonna go with KC, and the reason I'm gonna go with KC is much like tonight's game. We've seen them. I'm not gonna say we've seen them at their best because when we played them in the game, it was weather. But we've seen Tyreek Hill's speed. We've seen the speed of McCole Hardman. We have not seen Sammy Watkins. We probably won't because he's injured now. He'll probably stay injured. So we know Sammy here in Buffalo. We know what Sammy's all about. He's about money and injuries. We've seen a Hilaire. We've seen Mahomes. So I'll take my chances with Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott seeing you twice in one season. I'll take my chances with that. We saw Cleveland last year, but this is to me, this is a different Cleveland team than
totally
we saw
different
last
team.
year.
Absolutely.
It's a totally different coach team. It's a different mindset. It's a different style of play. And somebody just said in the comments, I'm trying to remember who said it. They made a really good point. Let me go find out who said it. Someone said, I'll find it in a second, that if we have a game like we had tonight with this type of weather, then the Browns become an extremely troublesome problem. You're right. They do become a troublesome problem because obviously Baker Mayfield could throw the ball better than Lamar Jackson. That adds the play action effect in with Hunt and Chubb. But guess what? If we play the Chiefs in this same weather, for whatever reason, whether it's here or Arrowhead, at the end of the day, Pat Mahomes is going to be affected just like Josh Allen is affected. It kind of evens the playing field. And no, their running game does not scare me more than Cleveland's. So I'll take my chance with the Chiefs in twice in the season.
That's a great point.
So let's see. Keith Archie says, "How about that O line tonight? Ballin'." Yes.
Listen, yep. I've been telling Greg Thompson all year that the Bills O line should be the MVPs of the league of the team because they first and foremost, Sean McDermott is the one that I really give the credit to because for finding veterans at a cheap price to get high level contribution from, and then also the best signing in the offseason for the Bills was Darrell Williams. You know what I mean? And then I tweeted out during the game, I said, did anybody catch Deion Dawkins' blocks? Like Deion Dawkins, besides that one play I jinxed him on, that one play, Deion Dawkins was blocking really well tonight. And the Bills have two young tackles that are probably like one of the best tackle tandems in the league. And they've been that all year. So I'm not surprised by how good they play because they've been playing like this all year. And the fact that they got Feliciano and they got Bodeger that can come in and they got Winters, they got so much depth on this O-line and they play. And the most important thing is they play well as a unit. I know Bills Mafia consistently, rags on Bodeger and rags on Winters, rags on these guys that they think aren't that good. But look how well they play together. And you saw that tonight against the Ravens front. They only allow one sack, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, EJ, you couldn't be more spot on about how these guys play with cohesion and how they play together. Ever since Ike Bacher has been certain of that offensive line, they've had John Feliciano back. It's been a completely different front. And I think the one guy that, obviously you're not going to talk about the offensive line coach whenever you're talking about how well an offensive line plays. But those guys look prepared tonight. They looked really, really prepared tonight up front. They looked like they knew where the blitzes were coming. They knew when they weren't and weren't coming. I know there was some sort of mix-up on the broadcast thinking that there was a lot of confusion at the line of scrimmage for the Bills, but it really didn't look like there was. It looked like that this offensive line was handling whatever the Ravens threw at them, whether it was 4, 5, or 6-man pressures. It looked like the Bills were prepared up front. It looked like Ike Bacher had his hand, they took care of their matchups. And that's no defensive line that's any kind of slouch. Like you were talking about, EJ. Deion Dawkins did an incredible job on both Pernell McPhee and Yannick Ngakoue. And those big guys in the middle, Brandon Williams, Calais Campbell, and Derek Wolfe, those guys are a force to be reckoned with. And, I feel like every time we talk about this offense being able to do just enough, being able to have just enough production and to squeak out these tight games that are going to come down to the wire like every playoff game will. I feel like we keep going back to this offensive line, and they really are the unsung heroes of this team. And I agree with you 110% that Darrell Williams was probably the most underrated and best addition on this team that wasn't Stephon Diggs this past offseason.
Yeah, it's interesting about how this offensive line has come a long way from the Jordan Mills of the world. And, finding Darrell Williams was, such a godsend. I know you're going to be having an article come out later this week about the interesting points of who do you resign if you have the choice, Matt Milano or Darrell Williams with you. You broke down everything thoroughly. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming out later this week here. Enough can't be said about this offensive line. When I talk to Lorenzo, when I talk to Donald, all these guys say the same thing. If you're not talking about the offensive line, I mean, it's doing their job. When you are talking about them is when, you're like, hey, man, what's going on over there? Why you getting my quarterback hurt? We saw tonight with the Ravens. Look how their offensive line looked with people out. The Bills absolutely dominated their offense. Dominated them. Jerry Hughes made DJ Fluker look, really bad. I know Fluker's a bust, but he still make him look really bad.
Because he is really bad, though.
Yeah, well, he is.
He didn't, because he is really bad. That's why. And he's playing tackle. Like you said, he's supposed to be playing guard, but he's playing tackle.
Right. So, I don't want to spend too much time on the topic because, like I said, we want to leave that for a little bit of off-season content and stuff like that. But, it's all kudos. Hats off to the offensive line. They're healthy. Mitch Morse, Ike Bodeger, Deion Dawkins, John Feliciano, and Darrell Williams. And honestly, there's no reason to say that any of those guys shouldn't return.
Right.
And at a very fair price for everyone. So, and Darrell Williams did come out and say this week that hey, he's fell in love with this team in the city, and I think that's a good sign. I think this is a guy that we may be able to get re-signed before free agency. Hopefully, we just don't treat him like we did Quentin Spain because we kind of did Quentin Spain a little dirty there. But hey, another question we have here is Jason Belito on YouTube asks, do you think Cody Ford could be moved in the offseason because of Boddicker? Oh, Clayton, I'll let you go at it. I already know how you feel about this.
You know, you were just talking about leaving meat on the bone for the offseason. I was thinking about doing the same, but, you know, you could be looking at that situation. Like Cody Ford, I understand the sample size. The sample size point is a very big deal. You don't want to move on from players prematurely. I mean, look at what happened with Wyatt Teller. They moved on from a player prematurely, and he ended up being an all-pro football player. I mean, hindsight, do you say it's a bad move considering they used the picks for Stephon Diggs? I mean, that's not a part of the point. But Cody Ford, he hasn't looked impressive at any position they've played him. They played him at right tackle, right guard, and left guard, and he has yet to find.
Uh-oh.
I don't think that it's looking very promising for him because they're going to have to come up with a decision on Cody Ford fairly soon. And if you're going to move him, it's going to have to be this upcoming season. And Bakker's done nothing but take that opportunity and ran with it.
What do you think, eh?
I would say this. At tackle, he's absolutely awful. And I hate to say that about a player, but it just kind of is what it is. If you watch him on tape, you watch him play, he just looks absolutely awful at tackle. So tackle's out. The only case that I can make for keeping him is that if you want to keep him for depth. But like you said, you got Boddicker, got Winters. Like, I don't see why I would keep him. Yes, he's a first round pick, but I can't really make a case for him to stay. I mean, he's been the lowest graded blocker, the past 2 years for them. And he's only been in the league 2 years and been the lowest graded blocker all the time at guard and at tackle. So I don't really see any promise from him. So like I said, if it was me, I probably would move him, because you got cheaper options, you got affordable options. But I think at this point, I know he brought up Wyatt Teller. I honestly feel like Wyatt Teller's like an outlier, but I don't see anything promising from Cody Ford.
And, I think Wyatt Teller got a raw deal anyway. For some reason, I thought Wyatt Teller was always in the doghouse for whatever reason, and he just was never going to get out of it. Because I thought there were stints to play in the preseason. Some games he got in where he played solid, and he still seemed the doghouse. Sometimes it's like that at times, You can't get every decision right. So I'm not going to harp on him. But I think this Cody Ford experiment should probably be over sooner than later.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
The fact that you moved him from right guard to left guard to really protect him between Dawkins and Morris because you wanted to hide him is a problem to me as well. So, just saying, if you guys didn't know what they did, that's exactly what they did. Just saying, man.
I like you keep it real, man. I love it. You keep it real, man.
Jason Belito also about Trey Adams cut. He's cut. He's awful. He's cut. He hasn't developed since his second year at Washington. He's awful. He's garbage. So I'm sorry. He's not garbage. He's cut. He's not gonna be on a team or any other team most likely. Let's see. Any more questions before we get out of here, guys? Oh, okay. Rick Beam asked a good question on YouTube. What do we do with Trent Murphy? Do we let him play or do we bench him? I'll go first on this one. I think because you're playing the Chiefs and he served his purpose, he went against Lamar Jackson, he's a veteran. As Lorenzo Alexander said tonight on the pregame show, you operate him because he went against Lamar last year, and he's not going to be fooled by the read options. He's a veteran, he knows what he's doing. You're going against the Chiefs next week. If you have no Darrell Johnson, that's fine. I'm okay with that if you're going to keep him. But personally, going against Kansas City and knowing that Cole Beasley is still a little banged up, although he looked a lot better tonight than he did last game, even though he didn't have high volume, I would love to see maybe one less defensive end and Kenny Stills up this week. What about you, Clay?
Yeah, I tend to feel the same way. I think if Darrell Johnson isn't ready to go, you're going to activate Trent Murphy. You want to have your rotation available to you. They like rotating their defensive ends to have consistent pressure. But if Darrell Johnson's good to go, then he's good to go. And I don't think, like you said, he served his purpose. He's a player that was very fun. He was a key in stopping Lamar Jackson last season when they matched up, and he did his role in this game. And I wouldn't see much purpose for him going up against a Cleveland Browns or the the Patrick Mahomes led Chiefs either. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Trent Murphy activated next week, but I wouldn't be surprised to see his role diminished enough to what it was at the second half of the season as well.
I got a comment before we get to E. Scott Ahern says, "Already calling a Chiefs win."
Yeah, I did that too.
No, I'm not calling a Chiefs win.
Yeah.
Go ahead, E. What do you think?
Am I reacting to the Trent Murphy question, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So I've been wanting to say that they should have been cut Trent Murphy at the beginning of the year, but he took that long hiatus, and then after he took that long hiatus, he came back, and I felt like he'd been playing really well since he got off the hiatus. I mean, that play he made tonight against Lamar Jackson, that was like a really impressive play. Like, I don't see defensive ends make that play against him all the time. He usually fakes that DN out, and he's going for 20 yards. And so like you said, look, if Gerald Johnson's good to go, I put him up, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Trent Murphy, playing next week. I mean, especially after how he played today, I think he earned himself, some playing time for next week.
Yeah, definitely. We'll take one more question and then we're out of here. Actually, Cindy Martini Jackson asked, "Do we trade Murphy or keep him for depth?" Actually, Murphy's contract is up after this year, so I mean, he's probably just gonna be let go and hit Merck, and they're not gonna re-sign him, so he's free to go. And at this point, I don't know why he would come back anyway, with knowing that his play is going to be cut with the rival Epinesa and the development of Daryl Johnson and players of that such. Any more questions before we get out of here? We'll take one more. Let's see. Come on, someone hit us with a gut one. Come on, hit us with a gut one, then we're out there here. But other than that, I mean, guys, it was a great game. I mean, they dominated on the defensive end from front to end. I mean, this is the best defensive performance of this year. This may have been the best defensive performance in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. They did a better job tonight than they did last year against the Ravens, and at that time, Lamar in this offense was hotter than they were weren't coming into this game. But yeah, holding that offense to 3 points, there's not many playoff games you're going to lose if you hold an offense to 3 points and then you score 7 as well.
So, any final thoughts, E? You're the guest, so I'm gonna let you set it off first. Far as final thoughts, whoever the Bills play next week, they're gonna have to have a more balanced attack. I mean, it's just kind of pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, even if they play Cleveland or Kansas City, they're gonna have to possess the ball a little bit. That's exactly what I want to see from from the Bills. I want to see them possess the ball a little bit, be balanced because they can. Like I said before, it's not that the Bills can't run the ball, it's the Bills don't run the ball. You know what I mean? And, the most efficient way to move the ball in the NFL these days is to pass. I get it. But the run game has its place. And hopefully Dable can take something from his, first drive of the third quarter and incorporate that all game to whoever opponent they play, in the AFC Championship.
Yeah. Next week it's going to be another big week, but this was a really fun game. This was a very solid approach for in all phases for the Bills. The Ravens. This was just a really good matchup. If you were a football fan, you were really looking forward to this matchup. And, as somebody who's always watched the Bills, this is a completely different experience for somebody like me watching them go through the playoffs. The nerves aren't the same. There's a lot of firsts to be experienced in this postseason run by a fan like myself, a younger fan who didn't get to experience the greatness of the 90s. So this is a time where Bills fans should really just let loose and just have fun. I understand there's a lot of nerves involved, and you get anxious, you get eager, you get excited, and what have you. But just enjoy this. Your team's going back to the AFC Championship. They're going to have a tough matchup, regardless of whether it's the Cleveland Browns or the Kansas City Chiefs. But rejoice and have fun that this football team is good again. Finally.
Yes. Good again, finally, is the word. And AFC East champion good. AFC Championship game good. Possibly Super Bowl representative AFC good. We will see. We won't know till next week. We'll know what the game is. Maybe they'll be in Buffalo. Maybe it'll be another 6,700 screaming. But I think we get to AFC Championship game. I think, my man Como, we got to put a little call into him. I'm still pissed off that fans didn't allow him come to the game, or trying to petition to go to a game. They're trying to save your life, man. You getting all pissed off and stuff. Come on, chill out, people. But no, man, they have to let like 20,000 in, man. They have to let 20,000 in. for this one. So we'll see. We'll see if Cleveland can win. It's almost funny because up until this year, Cleveland and Buffalo had never won a postseason game together since 1989.
Oof.
It's crazy how things work out, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So what? Actually, no, never mind. Wait a minute, because 1989, Cleveland technically would have been the Ravens. I don't even know how this even works anymore. I don't know. You got two Browns in the playoffs. I don't know. Whatever, man. But hey, guys, enjoy this run. If you're a Bills fan, tomorrow Sunday, there's no game. We get to sit back and drink our Gatorade. Enjoy it. Obviously we've been in the middle of a pandemic for this entire year. We've lost birthdays, we've lost Christmases, holidays, we lost a lot of things. But one thing we've gained is the pleasure of having dominant and consistent Buffalo Bill football back. And this consistency is going to last a lot longer than this pandemic will. So when we get to take our mask off and we get to fill them seats in them stands, we'll still be winning. The Bills will be there. Enjoy it. We got a dub, AFC Championship bound. We'll see you next week. Same place, same time, hopefully same result. Catch you later.